Ring ring.
Hello, this is Sean.
Hi, Sean. This is Alex from Remote Closing Academy with Cole Gordon. How's it going today?
Oh, hey, it's going well.
Awesome. So I want to give you a call because I know that you entered your email on the website. You said you were interested in getting more information about remote closing, what that looks like, what it is. And I was wondering if you're available right now, maybe 15, 20 minutes to have a conversation about it, see if it's a good fit for you. And if it is, answer any questions you have. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool, fantastic. All right, so where to begin here? Okay, so first of all, I'm really curious, honestly, Sean. What has you looking into remote closing?
Well, in the job that I'm in right now, I make a good living, but it's a very hour trading time for money type of position. So,
Hmm.
I don't make any money if I don't work. And my wife and I have always dreamed about being able to work literally from anywhere, with an internet connection and a laptop and just being able to do our own thing. Um, our kids are all out of the house and just kind of a dream and a vision that we've had. So, I don't have experience in sales, so that part overwhelms me, but the thought of being able to work from anywhere excites me, and the earning potential from what they claim, 10
Hmm.
to 20,000 a month, that would
Yeah.
be fantastic. I make about 10 now, and so if I could at least match that and live on the road, that'd be ideal for me and my wife.
Hmm. That's awesome. And how long have you guys been wanting this?
Well, we've been commuting around for my work. I'm in television and film and work on documentaries, and so I kind of go different places. But it's been more focused in this last year. Um, I do have a son who still lives with his mom back in South Dakota, and I'd like to be available for him. And so he's now
Hmm.
in his teen, he just turned 15, and I could feel that he really needs me more present in his life. So I
Yeah.
think it's been this last year when I've really kind of felt that from him that I need to be more available.
Yeah, wow, I get it. So yeah, what I'm hearing you're saying, right, is that, you and your wife are at a point in your lives where, especially the last year, you want to more so be grounded, working at home, doubling your income, right, which would provide you and your family, right, obviously more opportunities. For you and your wife, I'm not sure what those are yet. You didn't say them, but I do know that for your son, right, you said you would become more available. I'm assuming to like travel and spend more time with him and have him travel and spend more time with you.
Yeah, right, exactly. He's
Mm,
um, because of sports and stuff, he's not able to travel a lot and leave where he lives now, and so I just would like the availability to go to where he is, and if
mhm.
he has sporting events around the state, that I can go and be there and be still work, but then be go to his events and be present in his life.
Yeah, that sounds great. And how come you can't do that now? I mean, you're making $10,000 a month. That's not like, a couple $100s.
Yeah, I do make a good living, but I'm very tied to
Hmm.
um, the projects that I work on, and most of the time where the documentary happens, that's where I have to be, and that can be for 6 months at a time. I came out to Salt Lake City back in
Mm-hmm.
2017 for a job that I thought was going to be 6 months and ended up lasting off and on, coming up on 4 years now because it's been several
Hmm.
different projects. And I've stayed because the money is good,
Hmm.
but there's an external cost otherwise, family wise, to that. So,
Yeah. So what I actually just heard you say, I think was kind of the core of everything, is that you are not in control of your time
oh,
and
exactly.
your physical presence, like where you are, right? Because wherever the projects are, that's where you have to go.
Yeah.
You just said, right, they're not known, right? They're not fixed. They're very spontaneous.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so
So,
that amount of lack of control, yeah, I would assume that's like frustrating, right? Because you'd have no idea like where you're going, when you're going to go there, how long you're going to be there for. So yeah, I can't imagine having that type of life right now. Excuse me, having that type of life right now would allow you to auto plan in the future to see your son for sure, right?
yeah.
Mm. And I'm sure that's very frustrating for you, right? That you have a commitment to spend time with him and be with him and watch his sports, but you just don't have the ability to do that. And how long has this been going on for, this career?
Well, I got a degree in college in television and film, so I've been doing it for, you know, almost 30 years. So,
Wow.
I tried to get out of it a couple of times. I tried to get out and sell insurance when I was in my 30s and do medical billing for my mother's companies. And um, I do love the creative aspect of the videography and the editing to it, but um, off and on, it's been very difficult just with, like I've said, the travel demands and then the time demands
Yeah.
because it's not really a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. I have to work when the work needs to be done. So I could be easily working 6 days a week. And,
Mhm.
so as I get older, every year that goes by, I think, okay, I really have to make a commitment to get into a different industry, but it's got to be something that I can have passion in and find some sort of connection with. So that's where I was hoping the RCA program would be
Mm.
something through investigating it, and maybe it would be a fit where it would be both the freedom and the flexibility as well as the income, but
Mhm.
on top of that, something that I could truly have passion with, that I can
Yeah.
invest myself and make connections and build relationships with people. I love that process.
Yeah, and we definitely do that here a lot for sure. I just want to go back for a second, so because I'm really interested in this. So you said you've been, got a degree in the industry for 30 years. So have you ever spent time with your son like the way you wanted to his entire life? How old is he?
He just turned 15. So I used to live I mean, because I was married to his mom for 8 years.
Yeah,
And then after we were divorced, I still stayed in his hometown and I bought a house 1 block away so that I could be there.
there you go.
Um, Tried to do more television and film production in that town and city and really just kind of tapped out the resources there and
Mm.
was thinking, okay, I got to get a different job because I still want to be here with him. But through pursuing other opportunities, like I said, back in the end, like December of 2017, I got the connection here in Salt Lake City, came and investigated this, and just the money and the ability to be more focused on one project at a time rather than tons of little projects
Yeah.
seemed better. But
Okay.
4 years ago, I wasn't really thinking about the cost of what that does to not being a father to my son and being present in his life. And it's
Yeah.
become more real now that he's in his teens and I can feel it. So
Mm.
yeah, it's
Wow.
been progressive for last 4 years.
Yeah. Well, sorry to hear that. I definitely hear like a little sadness in your voice, and you probably didn't want to move away, but like you said, the opportunity in Salt Lake City was, too good to pass on, right? And
Yeah.
the kind of life you could have for yourself. Yeah. And yeah, parenthood is tough. I don't have any children personally, but I have a dog. My wife and I, not to say this is at all having like a real life human being son like you do, but I have an idea, right? Because my wife and I we treat our dog like he's our kid. Like he goes to daycare twice a week. We have people watching him every now and then. I mean, literally, this is like our training for having kids. And actually, we're
Yeah.
trying to have a family right now. Actually, we're trying to start a family ourselves.
Oh,
So I
cool.
have an idea of what that's like for you, but I do get what it's like, whenever we're away from our dog Nugget for even a few days, like we miss him, and that's a few days. I can't imagine what 4 years is like for you,
Hmm.
5 years now, to not have the ability or capacity or financial grounding to spend time with your son, which obviously is very important to you, right?
Yeah.
Especially as you get older, like you said, and he's now a teenager. And these are important years for him, right? His brain is still developing. It'll be fully developed by usually about 25, 26, 27 area. And yeah, I mean, what do you think would happen if you never have the ability to spend time with him for the next 10 years? How is that going to impact the relationship with your son, do you think?
Oh, yeah. I know that's huge. My father was so present in my life, and
Mm.
he was a dentist, and so he was pretty locked into what he was doing. But he was at every school event I ever had, and was always present. And so, not being able to do that for my son is devastating. I could see him, having detachment issues, not, because I want to treat him, or I want to train him to be a good man, a good leader, to be a good man to the woman in his life.
Hmm.
Um, and I know that takes constant, one-on-one being present. And so I think the longer that I go without doing that, the the bigger that gap is going to become, and could have lifelong effects of him just not having that sense of stability and love and support from a male role model in his life.
Yeah. And here's a question you probably never think about really, but maybe you do a little bit. How do you think it's like for him over the last 4 years to not have his dad physically in his life at all?
Yeah, and that's what is really gut wrenching now is because we'll try to FaceTime 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, and the older that he gets, sometimes he's like, "Hey, Dad, I'm busy, can't talk," or he just sits on the FaceTime, for 5, 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I can tell he doesn't want to talk, so I don't want to drag things out. So it's getting, it's getting worse and worse as time
Yeah.
goes on because I think he's learning to cope without me, and I don't want that. So
Yeah. And that right there, right, is the real devastation. Is that it sounds like from what you're saying, your son is becoming someone, he's growing to someone who doesn't need a father anymore.
he's trying to not replace me, but just deal without me. You know.
Yeah. Well, you said the word, right? I think the word coping is a good word, right? He's
Mm.
learning how to cope without you being there. And honestly, I mean, from what you're telling me, it sounds like he's actually even okay with it at this point. You're kind of not required.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
that's pretty
mean,
painful.
yeah, no, I would imagine it is, you know. I mean, I'm just looking at him like, me in my life, my dad and I were very close, kind of like how your dad was. My dad was at all my sporting events. He supported me, my dad has 4 kids, and out of those 4 kids, he spent the most amount of time with me.
Mm.
I was the youngest. And to this day, my dad and I are extremely close, like very close. I'm not a very emotional guy, I tell people, but when my dad, hopefully he lives forever, but when he dies, like I will cry at his funeral.
Mm.
Like that's gonna make me like that for me would be devastating, right? When he dies. My mom and I, on the other hand, though, we've never been close my whole life for the most part, right? I mean, I spent time with her as a kid, but we never had the same kind of relationship. And it got to a point over the years where, like, maybe your son is experiencing, like, she wasn't really necessary as much. And I've learned to live life without a motherly figure and kind of was a very strong, dominating kind of guy, alpha male guy, you know, and it's great and all, but I definitely get the impact on me is that, even to this day, I deal with, I'm married now. So I've had to always deal with and be responsible for it's like being affectionate, being emotionally available with my wife, right? And even my dog has really made me become more in touch with like my feminine side, per se. Being loving and being emotional and being compassionate and sympathetic, because we all have two sides, and it's been really challenging, man. And I really can't, I don't know what it would be like, to, because, I told you we're trying to start a family right now too, my wife and I. And I can't imagine what it's like to raise a son or a daughter and have them have the experience of me that I'm not around and maybe even that I don't care to be around, and have them grow up without a father figure. Like you said, it's crucial for like their brain development, to have that stable family, kind of diagram, not diagram, family like structure, because it's
Mm-hmm.
healthy, right? And a lot of people that we connect with as we get older, it always comes back to the relationships we have with our parents. And if we have great relationships and they're flourishing, they're fantastic, the way that kids relate to men in their life, how they relate to women in their life, a lot of it is related to how they relate to their parents.
Yeah.
And I really get, Sean, your commitment is like you don't want your son to turn out a certain way that he's going to be impacted for the rest of his life. Because once again, the brain develops in his 20s, that he doesn't have a really strong, good relationship with men. And this could apply to his friends, teachers, mentors, whoever. And you don't want to be the cause of that at all, right? You
Yep.
don't want to provide that and do that to him. So honestly, I really respect that. And it says a lot about the kind of parent that you are, that you've had to, do what you've done, right? Because you've had to, obviously in your world, moving out to Salt Lake City was necessary. Your career was there, you had opportunities there. Great, right? No problem. And now you're looking at your life and you're looking at what's important to you. And it sounds like this career you've been doing is not as much as important to you anymore as your family is. And that's
Yeah.
why you're looking for a change. Is that right?
Yep. Exactly. I mean, I felt very blessed, but also very selfish. I've had a
Yeah.
really great career in the television and film industry, like I said, for nearly 30 years now,
Yeah.
most of my life. And,
Hmm.
um, but it probably cost me a marriage, but I just don't want to let it cost me the relationship with my son. And I'm willing to completely do a 180 on what I'm doing day by day to make that happen. And, I'll give him the next 5 or 6 years of my life. And if he moves on and I'm invested and we're connected, then I feel like it's all been worth it. I can make a different decision after that.
I get it, man. I do. And, in a way, right, he's kind of your why in life.
Hmm.
He's the reason why you're even interested in looking at doing something different with your life,
Hmm.
right? Because you see, like, it sounds like you've kind of had enough. You've had enough of living life the way you've been living, not being connected at all to your son, really, having him go on calls with you, FaceTime, and he's not really interested, or he's busy, or he's only on the phone for 5 or 10 minutes, and you want to, like, know, shit, like, do something about that, like right now, or like you're done waiting.
Hmm.
This is your time. I mean, have your wife and I that'd be kind of weird. Has has your wife and you talked about this, and is she on board with this as well?
Of me doing a career change.
Yeah, like career change, being more available and traveling for your son. Everything you're sharing with me. Is she on board with all this?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. She's currently a flight attendant for SkyWest, and she's understanding because she's based out of Salt Lake.
Okay.
And we've been married for about 5 years now, but
Hmm.
she's totally willing to let that go, just follow me,
Yeah, of
especially if I'm making enough of an income to cover the
course.
expenses. and
Hmm.
and long term we want to get into real estate, so I want to get ahead on financial stuff. But the base, ground zero reason for making my son a priority in my life, she is 100% behind that, and whatever it takes.
Awesome. That's great. And so she would be also on board with you making a decision potentially, right? Working with RCA, right, and what we could provide you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, over the past year, when we've been looking at options for just changing into another job,
Hmm.
and looking for jobs, the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday thing, back to where my son is,
Yeah.
a lot of it is, I'd have to go back to school, get different degrees and things. And so she knows that it's not going to be just Friday I quit one and Monday morning I start the other. It's going to be quite a transition period. And so she is willing to get behind me and support me with that transition process. But it also needs to be pretty smooth because
Yeah.
we're financially committed with the income that I provide now. So
Mm.
it needs to be kind of a teeter scale thing where it's a progressive transition, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, rather than just like stop doing what you're doing, cutting it off and be like, hopefully this works. Let's cross
Yeah.
our fingers, honey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. This needs to be, granted, I want to hit the ground running, but
Of
it
course.
has to be a slow, well, not
Yeah,
slow, but at least a 90-day transition.
I gotcha. Yeah, no problem. And honestly, most people that work with us, it is like that too. So it's perfect. Cool. So when you make decisions like this normally with like career changes or this opportunity, do you normally do it like maybe you haven't done it yet, but would you want your wife to be there also on the call, or is she fully support whatever you say is good for the family? She'll follow you, like you said.
Well, it depends on the financial investment. We have a mutual respect for each other, to have open communication about financial decisions, and, above a
Mhm.
certain amount. I don't
Right.
think it's necessary for her to be on the same call, but I think that I need to have all the details to talk to her and explain to her this is the decision that I'm making, and just gauge her support level. She's fairly trusting.
Mhm.
If I
Okay.
say, hey, I think I found an opportunity, and this is the direction I'm going to go. And yeah, I
Got
would
it.
believe that I have her support.
Okay. So you kind of said two different things. So I'm a little confused. So would you then say you would do it and then you said inform her, or you would first like get all the information first, and then kind of confer with her, and then if she was on board, you would then move forward.
Oh, good point. Yeah, right. I would collect all the information and to where I felt I was 100%
Yeah.
in, and then I
Mhm.
would take that to her and say, this is what I'm going to do prior to making that commitment. So it's not like I'm asking her permission. I'm just out of like a loving business partner. I just say, this is the decision that I'm going to make. I get a thumbs up from her, and then I commit, so
Yeah,
there's
and
a
that's great, right? Because she's
process.
your wife, right? You love her, you care about her, you want her to be part of the decision making process because it's also her life too.
Yeah, it's most definitely it's going to affect both of us, especially if she ends up committing to leave her job, you know, then that's a
Totally.
whole nother level.
Okay. Yeah. So what's great about it is the purpose of this call. She's not required yet because I'm not going to give you all the information yet, right? What we're doing on this call is just seeing if this is a good fit for you. I'm going to give you more information about it, but in terms of like the academy and all that, that'll be another call. So what I recommend
Oh,
you do,
okay.
honestly, which may work really well for you, is we'll have our conversation here, right? We'll see if it's a good fit for you and both I, and if everything right lines up, we'll then schedule the follow-up call. And I honestly would highly recommend you bring your wife on that call.
Oh, okay.
Because honestly, Sean, you know how it is. Like, I'm telling you, I will be telling you some things later on the call too, but we're human beings, right? Our memories usually suck. I wouldn't want to burden you, seriously, to use that word appropriately, with like all this amazing information and you're happy and you're inspired. And then you share it with your wife in a different way. And she's like, huh? Or she's like, what? It just wouldn't work. So I think
Hmm.
would be appropriate and responsible on you, and I get that you are that person, so I really appreciate that about you. Is I would say if you choose to move through this process and go to the next call, bring her with you. Find a time that works for her and you. This way, you're both hearing from the horse's mouth, right? Per se, exactly what the opportunity is, the investment, whatever that looks like, and then you can make a decision together.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that would be appropriate to do that, and she would appreciate it.
Cool. Fantastic. All right. So we'll put that aside, okay? Because that's not relevant to what we're doing here. Right. That
Okay.
would be the cool. All right. So yeah, first of all, thanks for sharing all that and thanks for being so vulnerable. I'm sure you didn't wake up this morning and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get a call from this random dude named Alex and I'm gonna share with him my life. you know, but I really truly appreciate it because that's what we do here. What we look for is people looking for a shift, right? People looking for a change, people that have a really strong why. Because, remote closing, yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. It'll make you a lot of money, but it's not easy, right? These are the people you're going to be selling to. If you get, when we hook you up with one of our employers, these are very successful clients, right? That you're selling to. They're making 5, 6 figures a month, like very successful. Because how do I know that? Because you're selling them $5,000, $10,000 packages, right? Not everyone can buy these things. These are mostly very successful people. So we want to make sure that you're here for the right reasons, right? That you're motivated, you're driven, and you're not just here to like try it out. Because
Hmm.
honestly, you're not going to do that well, and you're going to fail. And I would never ever enroll someone, even consider someone that I knew wasn't serious about this, right? Because then it's just wasting your time and money and resources, right? And I would never do that to anybody because your time, money, resources are very valuable, like mine are.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
could tell by talking to you so far, like you are like your why, which is your son, right? And that's what ignited this whole thing in the first place is very important to you. And it sounds like you're going to do whatever it takes, right? Responsibly, right? Something to find something that's passionate, you said, something you enjoy, something that can make double, maybe more of the income you're making now. And most of all, right, has you be in control of your time again. Because right now, you're not.
Yeah.
And being that way in life gives you zero power. I mean, right? How is your experience of life right now, living every day, knowing that you may be called up to God knows where for a shoot or whatever, and you have no idea, like you can't plan around that even. What's that like for you, Sean? I'm really curious.
it's it's mentally exhausting. It drives my wife nuts too, because trying to
Hmm.
make plans and we'll lock stuff on our calendar and then I can get a call and sometimes we've had people come into the studio and it just completely does a 180 on my schedule and I'll get no notice for it and it can shut down any plans and I
Yeah.
feel committed to having to do that because it's my bread and butter. So it's very controlling and it is mentally, emotionally exhausting.
Yeah. You said the word committed. I would change that word. I don't think that's even it. I would say obligated,
Yeah,
right? Because
that's
this is your
true.
career, right? This is your job. So by doing the job, you then have an obligation to fulfill on whatever your clients want, whenever they want, wherever they want, for however long they want.
Yep,
And
exactly.
yeah, like I'm going to say a word here, hopefully it doesn't offend you, but it sounds kind of like you're a slave to your clients.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, like that it kind of fits, right? Because you're
Yeah,
literally at the freaking call, right? Which
it,
we could argue is like kind of what a slave is, right?
yeah, it's
So
deceptive being a contractor because you feel like
yeah,
being in, with the title of a contractor, you're in control of your time and your schedule, but it's just the opposite. You are more desperate to get things locked in, to have as much predictability as possible. But
yeah,
then, yeah, you're absolutely a slave to the next job and the next job and the next job.
yeah, and yeah, that really sounds horrible, right? It sounds, like you said, mentally, emotionally draining. You're not control really. I mean, your life really isn't yours. You know, your life is determined by your career. I mean, literally, your mental capacity, your time, your attention, everything. I mean, wow, like that sucks. It really does, you know?
Yeah.
Seriously. And I really get like, yeah, I'd be looking for a change too if I were you. You know, like how much longer do you want to do that for, right? So I get it. And honestly, from what I'm hearing, I think you could be a fantastic fit for what we do. Okay, so
Oh,
let's get into that, right? So yeah, so you said that you're looking for a way, right? A mechanism, a career, whatever, that's going to allow you to make at least what you're making now, double, right? You said you like to do 20,000 or more a month, which by the way, most of our clients do, right? Most people that work with us, they do.
wow.
Starting usually could be about 5 to 10, but obviously as you get better and you get proficient, you show mastery, we'll get you better offers, right? Paying out more money for sure. So there's really no limit here, Sean. You know, I know guys making 5, 10,000 that's starting. I know other people making 20, 30K a month. I mean, honestly, there's really no limit because you got to imagine, right? You work for someone like Tony Robbins, which by the way is one of our clients, and we book you with him as a potential job opportunity. I mean, this guy is selling packages that are what, 10, 20, 30, 50, maybe 100 grand, you know?
Wow.
And for commission, just so you know, it's on average, it's like 10% is what you get. So imagine as a closer, which usually we start everyone as a setter. If you're setting first, especially you said you're kind of brand new to sales. So to
Mhm.
start you up as a setter, right, which is a little less commission, obviously, because you're not doing much of the work, right? But then as a closer down the road, which we'll train and develop you to be, right? Imagine you close a $50,000 package. That's a 5 grand paycheck right away in one
Wow.
sale. Yeah, in one sale. I mean, even just do one of those a week, which is nothing, that's 20 grand a month right there in
Wow.
4 sales. So really, sky's the limit here. And that's honestly why I even got into the remote closing industry. It's just because it's so lucrative. Not even remote closing, the high ticket industry. Let me take it back. The high ticket industry, right? Because there's so many opportunities here to make so much money. And what you're selling is actually kind of cool, right? Because you're selling very valuable services and products that are designed and will benefit potentially hundreds and thousands and millions of people. Imagine if you're working for Tony Robbins and you sell one of these coaching packages to an entrepreneur that has a company of 500 people, and they in turn talked with 500 people, each. That's a what? It's like what, 25,000 people you've now influenced
Hmm.
from that one sale, and then imagine who they talk to. It's crazy, isn't it? Like you
Yeah.
literally have the capacity and the ability, which is kind of what you're doing already, right? Is influence people like around the world through your job, which is pretty cool. It's not just like you're going to work every day selling a product. It's like, no, you're literally impacting the world with what you're doing at this level.
Hmm. Didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, right. And you get to be a contribution, especially for someone like Tony Robbins. You got to get. I mean, this guy has a fan base that's like tens and hundreds of millions large. A lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people. You work for someone like him. What you're doing impacts a lot of people, and it makes a huge difference for how people, employees, contractors, whoever these people are, right, that buy these packages, who they work with, who they impact, who they influence, and you get to be part of that, which is cool. It's something bigger than yourself of a difference and impact you get to make in the world by working with these companies, you know, which is really cool. It would be kind of like you making a movie that goes to like, I don't know, I'm not a movie person, but go whatever. It goes to, it becomes very popular and it goes to like the Grammys, whatever, and wins. And like that was your baby, that you helped produce, you helped film. And now it's being seen around the world by millions of people. Like how cool is that to know that the art that you created, what your vision was, what you helped produce and create in the real world was like, watched, absorbed, and, maybe even benefited millions of people. I'll tell you this, Sean, like, it might sound kind of silly, and it should for most people when they hear this, but most of my leadership in life, most of the things that I've learned about leadership and motivation, whatever, have all come from movies. Seriously. Like, I'll give you an example to make this clear. Like, there was a movie out there called the movie Phenomenon with John Travolta, right? Very like B-rated movie, not very popular, right? Or very famous. But I saw it because it was a movie he made and I watched it. And there's one scene in this movie where he's talking to the guy who played Data on Star Trek, right? He's interviewing him. I don't know. I know the guy's Data. I don't know his real name, right? But he's in his interview, and I'm paraphrasing this. I don't know the exact things they said, but it was along the lines of the guy says, "Okay, how old would you be if you were born?" I'm making up this rest of the information here. If you were born in like 1990, and he's like, "What month? What year?" Right? So he stops the guy every time he asks a question. He goes like, "What year?" Oh no, I'm sorry. He says, I already said that. He says like, "What month?" And he's like, "Okay, let's try this again. How old would someone be who's born in May of 1990? What day?" Right? The guy's getting frustrated. And it's like, "All right, you were born on May 5th, 1990. How old would you be today?" And he's like, "What hour?" So you get the world of it. Like, he keeps drilling down, right? Hour, minute, seconds, and then he thinks he's done. And it says, "Okay, if you're like," he gets frustrated, right? Or whatever. He's like, "All right, how old would you be if you were born May 5th at 5 p.m. in 0 seconds in 1990?" And he goes, "What time zone?"
Yeah, I was going to say, what time zone?
Right? It's still not enough. He's like, "All right, like I said, I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if he went this deep, but it's kind of, but this is the context I'm creating for us, right? Is like, okay, if you're in California and you're born on May 5th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, how old would you be?" And he's like, "Man or woman?"
Oh,
And he's
wow.
like, "Oh my God, why is this relevant?" And he goes, "Well, Bob," the guy's name was Bob. "Well, Bob, if you're a man, living in California, born on May 5th at 5 o'clock in 1990, you would be, whatever time it is, whatever old it is, like that down to like the second," he said. Because the guy's brilliant in this movie. John Travolta, he's like a brilliant guy. And so he figures out exactly to like the second how old you would be, right? And based on what gender you are. And what I learned from that movie, to get the world of what I learned, is how important specificity is, right? Being specific when asking someone a question, because when you're not, it leaves room for confusion and uncertainty, like John Travolta was, right? He's like, "Well, what hour? Man or woman? What time?" Like, you notice how because when you hear a question, right, to you, it's very simple asking the question, because you know what the intention is of it. You know what you want from it. But consider that the person you're asking the question to, if you don't create that context with them, they're only hearing it from their life, right? From their point of view. And they're like, "Well, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like this year, next year, what month?" Like, right? There's no clearness. There's no clarity in the question. Really, there's not. So what I've taken on in my sales, right? I do sales, right? I do motivational speaking. I do whatever, is being as specific as I can in every interaction, in every sales call, in every question, right? And this, by the way, this takes a lot of training development. I wasn't always this way either. I used to be very vague in my speaking too. But what I've realized is by me being very specific and responsible for everything that comes out of my mouth, the experience with another person is so much like, it's better. There's less confusion. It's more empowering. They're happier about it. They feel smart, right? Because they know what to do, and everyone wins. And it's great. And so I mostly live my life, and this is my entire life from this one part of this movie now that I learned. And it's amazing, Sean. Like, my relationships, my interactions, my sales performance are all like through the roof, more than pretty much beating everybody. And it's not like I'm smarter than them or I'm whatever than them. It's just I've just taken the time to train, develop myself to be more specific and be more clear. So that way, when I ask questions, people know exactly what I'm talking about. They have the context I'm asking inside of, and we actually get to experience with each other a really great conversation.
Now I want to watch that movie again.
Yeah, pretty
I'm
cool,
sure I
right?
saw it way back when, but I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, and it's I mean it is kind of silly, right? It's silly that I saw this movie. It's the only thing I remember from it was this one scene, but it's everywhere though, right? Like Gladiator. I learned leadership from Russell Crowe in Gladiator, right? Watching him, listen to him talk, looking at his body language, his posture, right? How he speaks to people, how he is for people, you know, same thing. And it's crazy because that's just what I do. I don't know why I do that, but I do, right? And anyway, this is besides the point of this call, but I just want to share with you how, like, you know, we're impacted by everything around us at all times. Sometimes we're not aware of it, but we are, right? Like movies or TV shows. And the point I was making with you is that who knows that what you do today, how it's going to essentially potentially impact the world like that movie did for me, right? And think about it, right? It's more than just that movie now, because everyone I talk to, that movie now impacts,
Hmm.
right? My family, my friends, my communities, and I have a large networks, large communities I'm part of. So imagine all those people now are impacted by that movie too. It's
Yeah,
crazy,
that's
right?
that's cool.
Yeah. So imagine, right? So let's get more into now RCA, right? So what we do here, right? You know, so it's kind of the gist of it, you know, is you join our academy, right? It's like a schoolhouse, right? And the intention, especially someone like you, it's perfect because you're relatively brand new to sales. So we have a whole training curriculum, right? That'll teach you from A to Z, you know, how to do the sales process, you know, the script you'll have to memorize, kind of the flow of start to finish, you know, how to do everything. So you don't have to worry about, well, how do I start a conversation with someone, right? Like, what do I say? How do I do it? You know, whatever. We'll train you in all of that, okay? We're also going to give you coaching calls every week with your coach. You'll have a dedicated coach to ensure you're on track, you're getting what you need. You'll have a whole community of people to mock calls with. That means like to practice now the script and the sales calls. We'll give you calls to listen to. We'll do live trainings every week as well. So we'll give you everything you need to have you go from brand new, know nothing to like as good as me,
Oh,
right? Being
that's
able to
awesome.
talk to someone like a stranger, right? And create a relationship, you know, like find out like what's going on with them and what matters to them and what they care about and see if it's a good fit and if it's appropriate for them to work with you, right? In whatever you're selling. And that's what we're doing, right? That's all I'm doing, right? I'm seeing if you're a good fit. I'm seeing if this is appropriate for you. Because honestly, it's not appropriate for everyone, you know?
Hmm.
But for someone like you, I think you are. I honestly truly believe you're like the ideal person that really like no crap could benefit from working with us, right? And so after being in our, you know, in our academy for, you know, usually 30 days is the minimum or faster. Because honestly, like me personally, I was in their academy for 2 weeks and I was already in the closer pipeline looking for work, look getting leads for jobs, right? So it could be that fast too. It really
Wow.
depends on your speed, but just to be transparent, I have sales training background already that you don't, right? So obviously I could move a little quicker than you
Yeah.
maybe could. But hey, who knows, man? I'm not gonna limit you. You may jump into this thing and you're like, hey, you know, you go to your wife. I'm sorry, what was her name? I didn't get her name.
Lori.
Lori. Yeah, beautiful name, right? So imagine if you go to Lori and you're like, hey, Lori, look, I might have found what we need. This may be the it thing for us, right? But look, it's gonna require I spend the next week grinding, doing all their training, doing their mock calls, and I apologize. That means I'm not gonna have a lot of time for you right now. I will make time for you because you are my wife, you are important to me, and not as much as I normally do. Like, can we make this still work? Right. And like create something with her, right? That's gonna work for her, right? In the context of making 20 plus K a month, getting freedom, which I'm sure she'll be interested in too, right? If you're not
Hmm.
always, you know, unavailable for her as well, which I'm sure impacts your marriage at some capacity, your current
Yeah.
job. Yeah, right. So imagine sharing with her, hey, I found something that I think I believe right now, right? Could give us what we want. It'll give me time freedom. I'll be more available for you. We'll double our income. We'll have more freedom. We could travel more. And what that's gonna take though is that I need to like grind this hard, like for at least a week or two. I need to put all my available time into this thing. I got to do the videos and the training, the mock calls, all in the commitment of me making 20 grand a month, giving us time freedom and starting a new career. Is that something you're on board with that I can get your support from? Right?
Right.
I mean, who knows, right? Maybe something like that you could share with her, right? If this is something you do want to do for sure.
Hmm.
And that's it, man. You know, and then once you then prove to us that you're confident, that'll be done through a mock call. So you'll actually go on a call with your coach. You'll do the mock setter script. You know, he'll be a client, right? You'll be trying to set him. We said we'll teach you all this, so don't worry about it now. And then once you're good, we'll put you in the pipeline. and we'll start looking for jobs for you. And you'll have to do it yourself. Now, we'll teach you how to self-source, which means how to find your own jobs, which is really cool because you may find them faster than we can, but we'll also find you opportunities and employers to work with as well, like Tony Robbins and employers like him. And that's
Great.
it. And look, I've hired people, seriously, that when they join our company, within, like, still, like, for me, it was 2 weeks and I was already hired in the first month, whatever, like, whatever it is, it could be quick. It could be 30 days, and I said that you want to do a 90-day, transition, no problem, man. Look, I'll be honest though, a lot of employers are looking for full-time people off the get-go. Okay. Just to be transparent with you, right? Again, and everything I say is transparent. I just want to emphasize that. Okay. Just to be clear. Now, you could always create with them like, hey, I want to do this for at least maybe 30 days to make sure it's a good fit, to making sure I'm good at it, I'm a good fit for you. And if everything of all the stars are aligned, then I'll know SHIT, quit my job and work for you full time. Like, can create something like that. You'll have the opportunity to do that with them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. And, Sean, you could always self-source your own jobs also, and do the same thing. Be like, look, I'm very committed to this. I'm very serious about this. And I'm currently making 5 figures a month already. So until I could do that with you, I cannot responsibly, because I have responsibilities like a family to take care of, quit my job. So you could even challenge him, right? This is what I did. I'm like, look, you make me 10K already my first month, I'll quit my job. Once you demonstrate that this is legit, it works, it's reliable, it's consistent, you have a good brand, hey, as soon as I get it, like, I'm done. I'm quit my job, and I'll do this for all time. Is that fair? And they were like, yeah, okay. Right? So whatever you want, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be that way.
Of course, yeah. Well, that's how I had it too, right? I'm very similar to you, right? Very similar, for sure. All right, so that's kind of it, my friend. So look, everything you said, just to recap, right? You're looking for a way to take your power back in life, a way to regain your availability, regain your time freedom, your physical freedom. You want to make double the amount of money and work less, spend more time with your wife, I'm sure, right? Was there, you said a little bit. And most importantly is your son. You want to be more available for him, not just on a FaceTime call that he's not even there anyway for, really, right? He's kind of checked out, doing his own thing. Yeah. You want to have the ability to, like, know SHIT, like, go visit him, right? Where he lives, spend time with him, right? One-on-one in real life. And you can't do that right now, right? And as long as you keep doing what you're doing, you may never, ever be able to do that. And you're going to lose your son, right? And you don't want that.
Right.
Right. So, what we're talking about here is creating with you enough wealth, enough consistent income. And by the way, right, you could do this job from anywhere. So if you want to travel to spend time with your son, no problem. Just bring your setup with you, computer, phone, whatever, right? And do work from there. No problem. We don't care where you are. You could work from anywhere. You could even like rent a van and work out of your van, like one of those cool, like enemy of the state. I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as you have a high-speed internet connection, you could Zoom with the clients and do your job responsibly. You sound like a very responsible guy. Make it work. I don't care how you do it. They don't care how you do it, as long as you do it right.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and that's it. So look, so what we have to do next. How's this sound to you? Like, what are you thinking? What are you hearing? Like, what thoughts do you have? I'm curious.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. It's not going to be an easy, I don't want to try to kid myself thinking it's just a, flip the switch and easy transition. But, at least at this point, I'm willing to kind of pursue it and step into it and see if I can make it work.
Yeah, and once again, man, like I said, we're not signing any papers right now. All we're doing is having a conversation. And if you're interested, I'll schedule you for the next call. This will be the one where you'll talk to more of the person that could enroll you. They'll tell you more about how the academy works, how everything works in much more detail than I did. And if at that time you choose it's a good fit, because you'll be there with your wife, you guys then can enroll and, start moving forward into this new future where you'll be spending more time with your son and having more of your freedom and time available. And honestly, what I think is really important to you, you didn't really say it, but I think really getting power back in your life of your time so you can do whatever you want. I think honestly, that's the most important thing for you. And inside of that will be also time with your son and his relationship with you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you'll get out of these essentially working with us. because, I've done it. I've seen people do it already too, So it's just a matter of, so are you interested in moving forward to the next steps?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. So what we have to do next is I do have to schedule you now with Chris. He's going to be now the person that's going to continue the conversation. Again, I would recommend you have your wife with you as well. Okay. So I'm going to send you Chris's calendar right now. I'm going to have your email address. Is it seanfoyle@gmail.com?
Yep.
Cool. So let me email you his calendar right now. Let me know when you get it. It's coming from Alexander Macklin. It's my full name.
Okay, got it.
And then do me a favor, click on his Calendly and pick a time. I recommend, don't wait, man. This is your life. Pick a time tomorrow, Wednesday the latest, when you and your wife will be available. So if you want to text her, call her real quick, go ahead. And let's schedule it right now. So I'll wait for you. Go ahead.
Okay, probably the earlier the better. I think I'm going to do like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, perfect. And I'm in California. What time zone are you in?
Mountain time. So Utah, it's
So you're you're 1 hour
hour
ahead.
later. Yep.
Cool. Okay, cool. So 10 a.m. your time is 9 a.m. my time, right?
Sorry,
Yeah.
say that again?
Yeah. So 10 a.m. your time is 9 a.m. my time.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And Chris also lives in California, so 9 a.m. his time. Okay, great. All right, so do me a
Okay.
favor. So click on the link and type in. It'll ask you for your name, your phone number, and just your email, I believe, and then just to confirm, and then go to confirm.
Okay, got it.
All right, and then it should say congratulations. And then do me a favor, check your email, make sure you got the confirmation. And if you have Gmail, which you do, it should automatically go into your Gmail calendar, which is really cool, your Google Calendar. So if you can, just verify that. There should be a Zoom link in there as well for the call, because that's how you'll be doing the Zoom call with him.
Cool. Yep.
Cool. All right. And then last thing here. So, if anything comes up, Sean, between now and tomorrow, right? Life happens, right? Maybe your internet goes down or the city power grid goes down, whatever it is, not a problem. I just request that you send me an email back, or, I also message you on Facebook Messenger. Just say, hey, Alex, I'm having a breakdown here, can't make it. And reschedule. Hey, it happens all the time. Seriously, it's not a big deal. But I just request that you are in communication about your life and your schedule, just so I could tell Chris what's going on too, and we'll get you rescheduled. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, sounds fair.
Cool. Okay. And then the last thing here, I do want to give you a little more background about our organization and what we do. So if I send you a 5-minute video, it's really quick. Would you mind watching it tonight and just get answer this way? If you have we get more information about it, and if you have any questions about it, you can write them down. And just so that you're really ready to talk to Chris tomorrow. And if you have any questions about the video, he can answer all those for you. So can you make time tonight for that?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, my friend. So any other questions or anything, or are you, good to go? Kind of what this is a little bit more now, right? Kind of what the call of Chris would be about, and kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I think so. From where I'm at now, I'm good to go. I'm sure I'll have more questions for Chris tomorrow.
Totally. Okay. And how do you feel about this opportunity? Just want to check in. Are you excited about it, happy about it, or just kind of like, yeah, whatever, we'll see what happens about it?
No,
Or where you at?
I'm really stoked. It's just I'm excited about the potential of it. It is intimidating, like I said,
Yeah.
changing into a different industry,
Totally.
but
Yeah.
I'm not dead yet, so I'm capable of learning new skill sets.
Yeah, good for you, man. And honestly, if you just bring that why with you, that drive that I've noticed on this call, you're going to do great. Seriously, in no time at all.
Cool.
All right, my friend. Well, hey, good talking to you. If you need anything from now until then, let me know. And especially if you do choose to enroll with us and work with us, dude, let me know, man. Honestly, I'll put you on one of my group chats and my teams, and I'll support you as well. I got you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, my friend. Well, have a great day.
Okay, you too.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye. You can stop recording.
Okay, let me get back here.